Tonight, I've come to this place where it all began to speak as plainly as I can to the nation about the threats we face, about the power we have in our own hands to meet these threats, and about the incredible future that lies in front of us if only we choose it.
We're just over 2 months from the crucial November midterms, and the White House is making it clear democracy is on the ballot.
We need to save the core values of our country.
We are not done yet. There are more cities on our list.
Texas sending migrants to sanctuary cities, now including Denver.
I don't know how more inhumane you can be than what they're doing.
Safety and security is top of mind, and city officials have a plan.
We, as a community, have the ability to come together and coordinate and organize what we need to support people.
Good evening, and thank you for watching Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm Jessica Porter.
And I'm Amy Wattis. Tonight, President Joe Biden delivering a sober assessment of American democracy during a rare primetime address in Philadelphia.
Biden ramping up his criticism of former President Donald Trump and, quote, MAGA Republicans, calling them an extremist threat to the country.
MAGA forces are determined to take this country backwards to an America where there is no right to choose, no right to privacy, no right to contraception, no right to marry who you love.
In a pre-rebuttal speech, the highest-ranking Republican House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy called President Biden's speech divisive. McCarthy claimed Americans are worse off under Biden's policies and less safe.
The first lines out of his mouth should be to apologize for slandering tens of millions of Americans as fascists.
During tonight's address, the president recalling the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol by election deniers and supporters of former President Trump. Biden saying the country must unite to rebuke these anti-American attitudes.
Democrats, independents, mainstream Republicans, we must be stronger, more determined, and more committed to saving American democracy than MAGA Republicans are to destroying American democracy. There is no place for political violence in America, period. None, ever.
Earlier this week, the president focused on crime prevention and detailed his $37 billion Safer America plan. The proposal seeks to increase the number of police officers in the country, cracking down on violent crime, and calls on Congress to expand background checks and ban assault weapons.
Today, a retired New York police officer was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his part in the attack on the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Thomas Webster used a metal flagpole to assault one of the police officers trying to hold off the mob. Webster's sentence is the longest yet of anyone that has been convicted in the Capitol riot.
A Florida judge has declined to issue a ruling on whether or not to appoint an independent third party to review the hundreds of documents seized from Mar-a-Lago. Former President Trump's team wants a special master appointed to the case. The federal judge did not issue an immediate ruling, instead saying one will come in due time.
75 immigrants bused from Texas by Governor Greg Abbott are now in Chicago tonight.
This is all part of a strategy launched this year to share the influx of people coming into the U.S. with sanctuary cities across the country to protest President Biden's immigration policies. Denver and Aurora are part of that list.
And we're hearing from Mayor Hancock on the issue. I also talked with a local organization who is ready to jump in and help if we see immigrants coming here.
I got news for New York. I got news for Washington, D.C., as well as the rest of the country. We are not done yet. There are more cities on our list.
This is part of a message from Texas Governor Greg Abbott, letting American cities know they could be the next part of the country to see busloads of immigrants coming in. Governor Abbott says President Biden's inaction at the southern border is overwhelming Texas communities, saying it's putting the lives of Texans at risk. He went on to say that sending migrants to other cities like Chicago will help provide much-needed relief to Texas border towns. While Aurora's mayor did not have a comment, Denver Mayor Michael Hancock told Denver 7, Abbott's strategy is inhumane.
It hasn't occurred here yet in our city. We'll deal with it when we get there. At the end of the day, we'll demonstrate humanity and compassion here.
One Denver organization called the International Rescue Committee says it's always in the process of preparing for people who end up in Colorado from other countries.
One of the things that we do need to do is to ramp up capacity to do intakes with people and understand what their needs are, assess how we might be able to serve them.
IRC Executive Director Jennifer Wilson says she's confident the community will be able to come together and provide the resources it needs for people following the law and seeking asylum, stressing that the IRC has more than 80 partners to work with when it comes to housing. People like landlords, property owners, and people just wanting to open up their homes to help out. Executive Director Jennifer Wilson says the International Rescue Committee is one of 3 resettlement agencies in Colorado. She says right now they are currently working with 2,500 people.
Well, new tonight, another person is coming forward to blow the whistle on the culture for Denver Health paramedics. This time, a former paramedic who worked there for nearly a decade is accusing the hospital of turning a blind eye to a culture of discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. Denver 7's CB Cotton is the first to break news of this lawsuit that's been filed a month ago come tomorrow. She joins us live in the studio now. CB?
Jessica, Jordan Christensen tells me he had dreamed of being a paramedic since childhood. He joined Denver Health and became one in 2012, but several years later, he says his time on the job was a nightmare. The 28-page lawsuit filed in early August alleges Christensen was subject to repeat discrimination and retaliation by his superiors because he was a member of the LGBTQ community. Christensen served as a Denver Health paramedic for nearly 9 years before he says he was abruptly fired on January 8, 2021. And in an exclusive interview with Denver 7, Christensen told us he feels he was wrongly terminated because of his identity and his attempts to speak up about the culture of Denver Health.
I felt nervous for my job. I always felt nervous for my job, and I always felt like I was doing something wrong. I felt humiliated in front of my coworkers many times. It was embarrassing to be singled out and be discriminated against.
And coming up on Denver 7 News at 10, we're going to share more details on the allegations he's bringing forward in this lawsuit. For Denver 7 News on Local 3, I'm CB Cotton.
All right, CB, we'll see you then. For more than 5 years, people living in or near Evergreen haven't had access officially to an off-leash dog park. Jeffco Open Space closed the only one in the area back in 2017 because of poor conditions and dog owners not picking up their pets' waste. Tonight, town officials unveiled plans for a new proposed dog park to overwhelming support. Denver 7's Patrick Perez was at the meeting.
What made Elk Meadow Park here in Evergreen over the years so appealing for dog owners was this incredible view. But that popularity was also its downfall with erosion, pollution, dog waste, you name it. And ever since the county closed it down, dog owners have been fighting to get it reopened or to get a new dog park. Tonight, Evergreen Parks and Rec staff shared plans for a new proposed off-leash dog park. It would be located right off of Highway 74 next to Phileas Park. Right now, it's private property on 36 acres. What the town plans to do to keep the park well maintained is to implement an annual membership with a fee of $150 and an extra $50 for any additional dog. Only those with a key card or a fob would be able to access the park. The town is considering limiting membership to just 300 households in the beginning. Community members express overwhelming support for this proposal, but there are some concerns.
The people of Evergreen need a dog park. The people of Evergreen want a dog park. It's not hard. Everything from little HOAs in Denver to New York City to beaches in the Pacific Northwest, everybody else has managed to do a dog park successfully. Evergreen can do it too.
I would highly recommend before this moves forward that those of us that live in that neighborhood, that we are met with and we are consulted with on how you not just are concerned, but there's guarantees, not minimal impacts, but guarantees that there are no impacts on things like traffic and water tables and environmental impacts, which will affect my home and our home values.
As part of the proposal, the town also shared a management plan, which includes having waste disposal stations, people paid to empty and restock those stations, and possibly a DNA database of each dog. If the town of Evergreen gets all the approvals that it needs from Jefferson County, this park could open as soon as next summer. We'll have more on this coming up tonight at 10 on Denver 7 News. For now, in Evergreen, I'm Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
Patrick, thank you. Well, Russell Wilson will be riding with the Broncos country a little longer. Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson posed with his family after announcing the team is extending his contract to 7 years for $245 million. That includes a guaranteed $165 million, the second most in league history. We'll hear from our Broncos insider Troy Rank in about 15 minutes about Russell Wilson's contract. And don't forget, you'll be able to watch Russell Wilson play in his first game as a Bronco on Denver 7. They open the season in Seattle on Monday Night Football on September 12th. Coverage starts at 5 and kickoff is just after 6.
Expect low to mid-90s right through the holiday weekend, but things will be changing a bit next week.
One Brighton woman's dream of growing her daycare business turns into her worst nightmare.
It's very heartbreaking. He didn't even have the heart to think about the children.
Out $50,000 and a basement. She turned to Denver 7 for help getting answers.
I understand that our staffing is down. I understand that community trust is also at a low point.
And Denver's incoming police chief lays out his mission to make the city safer.
We need to fix those things, and those things are going to be addressed. I can promise you that.